So hello and welcome to the sixth episode of Setting the Standard. Sixth? Seventh? My name is Ian Bernard and this is episode 7. If you're looking to get into jewelry making, diamond setting, goldsmithing, you're looking to build your business, you're looking to find out about some new tools, then this is the podcast for you. Every episode, we're going to be talking to a diamond setter or a goldsmith. We're going to be talking to some other allied trades as well, and we're going to get into a little bit of the business side of things as well. So there's definitely going to be a little bit for everybody. And I think you guys are really going to like this. So today, we're talking to Ben Bentvelzen. He's a diamond setter out of Netherlands that a lot of you probably may have heard of. He learned with Alexander Sidorov and he teaches a lot for GRS. Really great guy. I've known about him for a while. I've followed his work. It's really top notch. So it was really a pleasure getting to sit down and chat with him and just sort of hear his story and a little bit of his thoughts. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello. How are you doing, Ben? It's really nice to have you here. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Excited to talk to you, finally. Super.
Absolutely. My apologies on the whole scheduling issues, but we're here now. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what you do.
All right, sounds good. So, yeah, my name's Ben. Hey, I was born and raised in the Netherlands, in Holland. Let's see. Yeah, so around like 16, went to jewelry school here in Holland to learn becoming a goldsmith. Yeah, long story short, I just was trained by Alexander mainly as a stone setter. That was back in 2014. So since I've been setting stones pretty much all day. So I went from gold work full on to the dark side of stone setting pretty much. Yeah. So been almost like, what is it now? 8, 9, 10 years since I finished at school. Yeah, I don't know how deep or
nice one.
Want to go with it.
No, it's okay. So tell me, you went into goldsmith school, and did you complete like a goldsmithing degree or an apprenticeship, or like what was the time frame between getting into that school and then going to Alexander?
Oh, got it. Yeah. No, 100%. So I finished in 2011. Then I started like straight away to work as an independent contractor, different companies. And then, yeah, like many other goldsmiths, I guess also where you're from, they sort of like set their stones as well. So when I did a job, I always had to give it to a colleague and then hope for the best that the stones were nicely set. So I was already in school really like interested in stone setting and hand engraving. Did some extra courses in it in school, but the level is just a bit traditional. So then actually I started looking around and went with a friend to America to New Approach School. Did 2 weeks there with Blaine. So then I was like super hooked on the stone setting part. And then Blaine mentioned actually Alexander. So I checked him out pretty much straight away when I came back in Holland. Yeah. So then I just had to save money. So I worked as a goldsmith for a couple months, like a year, saved all the money. And then I went there. Yeah.
So I don't know how it works in the Netherlands. Are you like, did you go through a trade, or was this like an entry-level goldsmith program? Like what was your sort of status when you came out of the schooling? Was it a 4-year program or something?
Correct. Yeah, it's 4 years. The first 2 years are in school, like full-time. Then the third year, you have 6 months of apprenticeship at a company. Then you go back for a year. And then the last 6 months, also at a different company, you do an apprenticeship. And over there, the last one, you make like a masterpiece, and in school you write like a business plan, and then they sort of prep you to start your own business. But probably it's debatable how good and how fast and how nice everything looks.
Of course, but still, they're trying from the sounds of it. I've heard of a lot of other jewelry schools who doesn't sound like they are as much as that, certainly.
It's I think the 4 years, like we had a ton of subjects. It was just like, in my idea, if you want to become a bench jeweler or a stone setter or whatever, you can compress that so much. There were so many subjects and so many stuff that was just, you had to take it, but it was just, you don't ever use it. But I think overall in Europe, like I hear different stuff, Germany and other programs, and I think it's maybe not the best, but it's definitely not the crappiest that you can get.
No, it sounds great. If you came out and you were making a living, then I think that's probably the most important part.
Yeah. Yeah, not everybody can make it work straight away. I had the sort of luck or the thing, both of those companies I did my apprenticeship with, they both wanted to work with me, but could
Mhm.
not like offer me a full-time job. A guy I know, my uncle, he mentioned, hey, you can just become like self-employed and go work for them both on a contract, like, and just write them an invoice for the work you've done. And I did that, and that was a good decision because I could get like many more clients in the area, and they had so much work, so they were happy to give like other people's names and, hey, this young guy, he does good work, you can always contact him. So before I knew it, I was like flooded with work and pretty much stayed that way till now. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So, tell me about your experience at Alexander and how it worked after that. Did you go straight into setting, or what was that like for you?
Yes. Yeah, that was cool, man. I did the test week pretty much January of 2013, and the early in January, and then I went home with all the tools from Maxime. For 2.5 months, I just practiced circles, straight lines, drilling, whatever. Then I came back, did the program pretty much what Alexander does with everybody, like the circle and the fancy shapes, the whole thing. Then, like halfway through, I was pretty much done with the standard program already. So we started to do some other stuff together. And then one day there came like a group of goldsmiths. It's like an association, whatever you want to call it, from Holland. They came in to check out the school. They were visiting Antwerp. It's all goldsmith related, so they were super pumped to see Alexander and see the school. Really fast, they found out I was from Holland as well, so they started to ask me questions. And yeah, long story short, when they walked away, I asked Alexander if that's the same at trade shows, like all the people around the bench, and he mentioned, yeah, for sure. So later on, I thought, hey, maybe I can help him promote school, right, at the trade show. So I asked him that, and then I went with him in, yeah, around the end of the course towards Basel in Switzerland, Basel World, Basel. And wait, oh yeah, so my whole point of the story is that's also the time when I did the handpiece, the first handpiece with the birds, the fish pattern on the side. And
Okay, yeah.
that was only possible pretty much because I was through the program already. I was doing like other stuff, different materials, like different, like a channel setting, but not only the basic one, like all that he could figure out. And then, yeah, after that, it went fast. His main setter, Sergey, he went on holiday for 8 weeks. So Alexander was like, oh crap, now I have to do pave work like more. So he asked me if I would like to do that for him and he could pay me. And I was like, sure, man. Sounds like an awesome opportunity. So I said yes. Then Sergey came back. There was still work to do, but then more Alexander's work. So, like the big stones, the color stuff. So we made an agreement. He had an apartment that I could go into because my 3 months
Hmm.
were done. So he had an apartment for me where I could stay for free. So we went there. That was for 3 months. Did pretty much all his work, but then it took me like, of course, 4 times more time. But he just helped me through it. I was like learning a ton, getting a little bit of money for it. And then when that was done, he asked me like everything was going well. He asked me like, do you want to stay longer? But then for a year. And Natalie, she knew I was independent, so she mentioned, yeah, we can just set it up and you rent the bench in the classroom. And so that worked. I got another apartment. I stayed there for a year. So all in all, I stayed there for a year and a half, of which like a year plus was just doing the work in Antwerp that you do there as a stone setter. So I learned so much during that year. Yeah, and from there I got into contact with many different students, right, from around the world. So from there, yeah,
Of course.
then I flew everywhere. I started to set stones around the world and teaching people. So yeah, that's about it.
That's what an amazing story.
Yeah, the graph story of yours sounds pretty awesome as well. So just depends how you look.
Well, that's for another episode. That's for another episode, that one. Appreciate you saying that, though. So, what is the structure of your business now? Like, how are you doing things? Because I see you're all over the map on Instagram. Like, you're everywhere. Are you still doing trade work, or are you just only training or teaching? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so my setup is just two benches, right? Fully set up. So during the day hours, I just do stone setting jobs for different private customers, clients, and then I pretty much now all the time have a private student sitting on the other bench. So it's pretty much like Alexander is just time to time setting stones, doing big stone work while teaching. Especially
Okay.
101, I do my demos, I explain, and then the big TV is on the right, so I see everything what is happening. So
So you have sorry to interrupt there.
no,
You have a camera on your student's bench, is that right?
yeah. Actually, I have flipped.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I constantly see what they are doing, and then I point stuff out. I do the demos, but while they're whatever cutting or drilling, it can be like but they're just working, doing their thing. So in the meantime, I do my thing. So the day is just a normal work day, but like my speed in my own stone setting work is like 50% down pretty much, if not more, because I'm working with the student. Depends on the student, depends if it's the first day or the whatever. But yeah, that's how it's set up. So I have my own customers, I do the stone setting work, and then Holland, there I have the studio, many private students, they come over from Holland or overseas or in Europe somewhere, what works for both. And then other than that, I do trade shows, normally a bit more than the last couple of years. And then at the moment now I'm teaching in Copenhagen. That's then classes at
I've seen that. Yeah, that looks great.
yeah, it's a ton of fun. It's classes. There's a big dealer here, Active Gold, and they have a training center. They have a classroom, like what is it, 8 benches total. So they fly me in. I teach now here for 3 weeks, different courses, and then yeah, from time to time I got flown over like to do private classes, but then in the workshop of somebody else. So yeah, I keep quite busy doing all that stuff.
Sounds like it. Absolutely. No, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So tell me now, like, what's the largest job you've ever done? What's the biggest stone, or what's something that stands out in your head?
Huh. Yeah, in Singapore, I work with some crazy stones, just like big and expensive, but that's all private stuff. I definitely cannot take photos of that stuff or share, but those were just massive. But sometimes it's just, yeah, like the crazy, like whatever 40 carat plus you showed. You see it on the hand, and I'm like, man, where's that stuff? Who wants to
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
to lose it or to get robbed? But stuff like that, it's interesting to work on. If it's a diamond, it's okay. It's just a material, as Alexander would say, like it's just diamond. But if it's a colored stone, it's a bit more tricky. But a big project like the hand pieces, I worked for many weeks in total. So those are big. That leaf thing with the
Yeah, that was cool.
jobs like that just takes weeks. It's the azure cuts on the backside. It takes days. It's curved and stuff. And while working with my private students, so it's jobs like that. Definitely, yeah, it's awesome, but also very awesome to finish it up and okay, next project.
Yes.
Next
Yeah, there comes an end. It was a gecko brooch at Graph.
gecko.
It was a gecko brooch. It was about 5 inches long,
Uh-huh.
and it was just like it was diamonds or whatever, 1,400 diamonds, 1,300 diamonds or something. And that was 5 weeks. It was amazing, and it was so much fun. But yeah, by the time I got to the end of that, I was like, get this thing away from me.
Or geckos on your bench. No,
Yeah, exactly.
no, go.
Exactly. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So tell me, what equipment, what's your main setup right now as far as engraver, your microscopes and your fixtures and everything like that?
Got it. So what I use on a daily basis is a Leica A60, and then I got micro block with the attachments of Jura. So I got the full kit, the full thing. I mainly use like whatever 4 attachments all day. I got the Graver Mac 80. I think those are the main tools, right? It's and for grave, T-Max, the carbide, polishing wheels. Let's see. I have the 3X line Vice. I think that's the name. But to be honest, I always go back to the normal one with some of his attachments. I worked like for 8 years with the G8. Then I upgraded to the Mac. Both are all
Do you find a difference there?
just the palm control. You can switch it up. I do from time to time switch it to the 8, the palm control. And that's
What would you use the palm control for?
not to cut a full fillet, but you have the Castell to clean it up between and outwards. It's just fun. It's just you can.
Okay, it's changing things up.
It's just the smaller cuts I do with that. Many times I just switch it up and do the smaller cuts with that, but not the long fillet lines. I don't.
Oh, so something. Would you do fishtail, the side of fishtail with that?
No, actually, to be honest,
No.
I still use the foot pedal for that. think also because I've done it for 8 years with the foot pedal, so it's more the short. Yeah, fishtail is just very unforgiving, especially the last couple of cuts. It needs to be crisp and perfect. So I don't want to, risk it.
Yeah.
But those same with circles. If you stop with, I'm right-handed, but if you stop with your left hand, if you cannot turn it any further, you need to stop the foot pedal. You need to stop the power. With the palm,
Yeah.
for me at least, it's a bit trickier if you have a pretty deep cut to stop gently with the palm control and
Is that right?
get a new grip with your left hand. I'm just
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
I definitely prefer to do that with the foot pedal. But if I have just a ton of cleanup cuts to do and all those little cuts, I like to switch it up. Even to cut the
Interesting.
on the inside and the outside with step gravers, I switch it often to the palm control. Yeah.
Okay, that's really nice to hear. Now, did you ever use the Graver Smith?
On trade shows. Yeah.
Just on trade shows? Have you? Because I mean, I've never actually used a G8 or a Mach myself. Is there a noticeable difference going from like the Graver Smith to one of the others?
No, for me that's hard to tell. Yeah, for me that's hard to tell. I set it up and the half the time the Smith or the whatever machine is on the table is already properly set up. If not, how do you call it? The buttons are a bit different on the Smith, of course, how to set it up.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's hard to tell. What was noticeable for me was my handpiece on my G8 was like one of a kind, like a unique thing. The old CEO of Jiras made that while I did the Basel Flare. So it has like a flat bottom, and that I really that handpiece because it's flat. My pinky is on the flat surface, so I feel really if I'm off, if I'm leaning it one way or the other.
Oh, interesting. You can feel the.
Yeah, it's next to the tube, so my pinky is there anyway, and then now it's flat. So I really like that. So when I got the AT, I had to, change like my hand. Like I was like, man, I want that bottom to be flat. But that is, has nothing to do with the Smith or the G8. But so
Interesting.
not like 100% difference for me. No, not noticeable anyway. No.
Oh, that's great to know. So you're using the A60. Are you using a lens on the bottom of that microscope, or are you using just like the 1.0, just the glass, like an objective?
I screwed. It comes at least in Holland with the 0.63, I think.
Okay.
So my work distance is large.
So you're using the 0.63 on the A60.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. I like.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Interesting.
Apparently you don't.
Oh, I couldn't. I had to take it off. I had to take it off.
I mean, you like that it's so close and so big?
I like the zoom.
Oh damn. No, I always tell students as well. Like how I work, I do most of it just on the 6.3 least magnification, and then when
you do most of your work on on the least.
Yeah, on the least, and then when I do my beading and my cleaning, I go to 10. Maybe if I really am tired or something, to 12 max. It's just for me, I like to see a lot, and my eyes are still good. I'm young-ish. It's for me that works best. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. When I had the A60, I was using it for quite a while, and then I pulled the lens off, and I just had the 1.0 or just the glass on there,
Uh-huh.
and it was like my eyes were opened. And then the longer I used it, I was like, oh, this actually still doesn't feel like enough. And now I've got the S9,
Oh my.
and I have no lens. I have no lens on that either, and I love how much zoom I've got. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I hear you. I just noticed by myself, or in my own case, like if you start in the morning, let's say on 10, right? That's normal. And you zoom into whatever, 15, that's normal. But if you go back then, it's this is way too small. You want to zoom more. But if you always start not a lot of magnification, you get used to it so fast. So how my drill, my bulber, how everything looks on that magnification, I'm so used to it. So of course, if I need more zoom, I zoom in. But really, like on a weekly basis, I pretty much never go over 10. It's when my stones are like tiny and prongs and like under a millimeter, of course I zoom in a bit, but a bit more. But overall, for all my work, I just find it way faster and more convenient to zoom in less. You don't need to bring the head of the microscope up and down so much.
Oh, especially with the A60 too, with that huge depth of field.
Yeah, it just all my tools fit.
Oh, that's
Everything. I rarely get the head up and down.
That's really it's honestly it's really cool to hear, because I just obviously a lot of the people I think listening to this episode will probably be aware of your work, and I don't know if I would have even believed that was capable without zooming
Not
into
like
like maximum zoom most of the time.
sorry, what was that?
Oh, I'm basically just saying I don't know that I would have believed that was capable, like that level of work without being at that like high zoom level.
It's yeah, mainly because, or I think mainly, I was a private student under Martin Strolz in Austria for a year and a half, and he
Okay.
like, oh, you don't need a scope. He was like hand pushing. He was really traditional hand pushing. He was like, he's now retired. He's sailing the world, but he was only like using a 5, I think, like a head loop 5 times, and he was like pushing and a hammer and a punch, and
Yeah.
his work's like superb. But so he was like, you don't need a microscope and you don't need that machine. But pretty fast he found out that that I did a good job with the scope and with the tools. But we just agreed, okay, you don't zoom in then, just 5. And
Really?
yeah, and actually, yeah, it's maybe stupid or maybe funny afterwards, but so I bought the tools right after I did the first week, the sort of test week at Alex.
Yeah.
And for those 2.5 months, I didn't even know you could open the micro block, like the micro vise, the bottom. So it was not spinning. I was like really turning it in my hand. And the same
You're talking about the tension on the spin.
yeah, I had it super tight as they come new. I had no idea. So I was so used to that. So the first day with my own vise, I came to school and I did something. I showed it. The first thing Alexander did, of course, was loosen the screw, and I had no idea. And the same with the magnification. The Diamex came like apparently taped a bit on 5. It is on a Diamex. I just left it on 5. I didn't do any changes. I just started straight away cutting stuff. So yeah, pretty much never zoomed in. So the day that I zoomed a bit, I was like, holy crap. I could see all my cleanup cuts way better. And then I was like at 8 or something. Yeah, it's not that I want to show, hey, it's possible, it's the best way. It just works for me. So when I talk to my private students, especially when they're younger than me, I say, you probably don't need that much. If you're now at maximum, just imagine you're like in 30 years, whatever, 60. Yeah, you better have some upgrades to go still, magnification wise. But still, if I always say as well, this is how I do it. This is what works best for me. I get the best result. But if your work is awesome, I'm all happy for you, man. It's all good. Like my private students, if you change little things, and your work is good, super. I'm happy. So I mention it to them. It's just how I work on that magnification. Yeah, to come back to your point, I definitely have the 0.63 lens, and I don't need a big, massive magnification.
I love that mentality too. I've said very similar things to my students as well. Is like I like to show what I think works and what works for me, and I'll do my best to show what I think or my understanding of what works for other people too in circumstances that I know. And yeah, exactly. Whatever you can make work for yourself.
Or also when they show me or I see them tackle a project or a situation like super weird, I'm like, well, what are you doing? But still, if they have like a good reason for it, I definitely try it out. It's not I had many different teachers, right? And I picked from everybody a little bit, and I just made it my own, and I dropped some stuff, and I figured out stuff on my own. So yeah, some of the students, they have just funny ways of doing stuff, and I just test it out. A lot of times it's just like ridiculous, but sometimes there's I use it then, so it definitely works. It's fun. It's cool.
So that leads me into one of the other questions I wanted to talk about. Obviously, Alexander's probably, taking liberty here, but would you say Alexander's one of your biggest influences as far as diamond setting goes?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So that then leads me into one of my next questions is then how would you say, if it has, your setting has changed since leaving his workshop? If it has.
No. Wow. Let's see. I remember doing the trade show and he was walking behind my back and he was like, I didn't touch you or teach you doing it that way. And that was just my hand position. I'm using my thumb as support. And he taught me using my index finger. And I only use my index finger still when I cut a full circle. Other than that, it's always my thumb or both of them. But yeah, small stuff like I combine a bit the fillet. And so when I open up, just basic fillet on a ring, many times I drill the holes to 80-90% of the size. Then I place the stone in there quickly, see where he ends up, make a little mark, draw the lines for the fillet, I cut the fillet, and then I open up 100% instead of doing the full fillet and then start the layout for the stones. The way, yeah, that way of doing it, 100% of the time the fillet touches really and is nicely connected to the holes, whatever shape the jewelry piece is. Let's see. Poo, 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 poo. But all the main things I still do how he taught me. Yeah, nothing comes to
No, it's
that much.
nothing wrong. That's just something I was curious about. So you obviously do a lot of your own layout. What are your thoughts of using CAD for stuff like that, for stone placement and that kind of thing? Do you do that in any of your projects
No,
if you were to do something?
no, I've never done that before. No, it's
Oh wow.
mainly, yeah, no, so I can definitely not speak professionally about that. But it's, no, it's all my layouts. I just get a jewelry piece and stones. I need to put them together. Like a lot of the snowflake stuff, it's just one customer, and it's always, for me, it takes a lot of time, right? But it depends a lot on
Absolutely.
the quality of the stones. And the more stones he gives me, the better of a layout I can do, and the more size range, different sizes, the better I
Mm-hmm.
can do for sure. And then it's just, yeah, it's, yeah, I did it also with the students in America, the 10-day specialty class. And the way you do it without computer programs, it's time consuming, but you can get a super nice layout if you've done it a couple times. It's,
Yeah, it takes practice, but it's not impossible for sure.
yeah.
Regarding the snow pave specifically, do you have any tips off the top of your head for getting tighter layouts and stuff aside from just practice?
Yeah, it's, that thing is really, so actually it's a lot, or long story. It's quite fun. I never really did it like this, like while I was working in Antwerp, but when I was working in Austria, I was just getting, but still to pay my rent and stuff. There was a company there who sent me work, so in the weekends I was doing stuff like for them, and 9 out of 10 times it was stuff like this. So first I was like, damn, this takes a long time, but doing it every weekend, you get faster and faster. So tip wise, it's just, yeah, you have to make sure, of course, where you drill a hole, there comes stone. So you cannot just randomly open up like, oh, beautiful, and then run out of stones that size. It's very important that you don't have lines or no like four the same sizes next to each other. And yeah, I call them like blobs. You don't want any blobs, so no, yeah, decorative beads, full,
Yeah.
and other areas fully paved. But it's just, with my students, it's really hands-on training, teaching for a couple of hours or days, because it's, yeah, lots of steps. And it's also when the item is curved and so, yeah, they come together, especially that snowflake with colored stones, the thickness of the stones, it's ridiculous sometimes. So if it's over a corner and you have a nice layout, but you go down in there, yeah, you run into trouble really fast. So it's really, with that way of setting, you have to think like 4 steps ahead before you do anything. And then
Absolutely.
it's just, you put on a nice podcast and you go, because it just takes time, man. It just takes time.
No, I appreciate that. As far as the snow pave, obviously, you've done a bunch, especially, like stuff like that
Mhm.
leaf with a beetle. You've done a lot of that with colored stones. Man, my experience with colored small gemstones has not been good. Do you have any tips on sourcing them or how you work with them?
Oh man, no, it's like I pretty much never supply my own stones. It's so it's poo. Yeah, no, it's so diverse the quality I get. So some is really like a fight to get them in there. Same as with the leaf. The color was super nice, but the quality and the cut was just a massive headache. So no, no tips on that front. No. Well,
Okay, no
if
worries,
I
no
have,
worries.
let's say, 10 stones the same size, right? A nice color, I definitely sift through it, that I make sure I pick the better quality ones. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what are you using for a drill at the moment?
NSK.
NSK, you're the Evo?
Yes, yep, correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. How are you finding that? Do you have the multiplier on that?
I got the, you mean the speed reducer?
One,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I got that. I'm just super used to it. It's so I started with that flex shaft from Antwerp and a cheaper micro motor just to polish my gravers. Then I, after doing some trade shows with the NSK, I really got hooked on it. And it had from the start already the low end torque in between the speed reducer. So I was used to the weight and the length of,
Mhm.
and compared to a flex shaft, I was like, this is pretty easy. Like, you don't have the heavy thing on your shoulder. So for me, it's no problem, and I love it. I've worked with a bunch of different ones, but for me, it's always the one that I prefer. Definitely.
Nice one, man. All right. So, what's like the favorite type of setting that you like to do, or metals? What do you like to work in? What's your dream day of setting at the bench?
Definitely, yeah, good quality stones, and the job itself doesn't really matter. I like all the stuff. I like the variation of it. Let's say, yeah, a good fishtail ring, but not like 20 fishtail rings in a row, but like just a nice fillet, and then quality gold, not with porosity in it. Just high end stuff, nice stones, nice jewelry pieces. And I'm not making or designing the pieces myself, so sometimes it's just this is ridiculous. But still, if the stones are nice and I like how it turns out, it's all fun. It's like I've done some work on some ugly, in my opinion, ugly designs, but it can
Yeah.
turn out pretty funny. And yeah, so that's it. So I like to build up the whole thing, do the side bends and then do some channel and then the big stone and here and there like stones, and not that I wear it or
Hmm.
anything, but just to see it, yeah, develop, and being able to do all the different setting ways and methods. That's pretty much what I like to do a lot. Yeah.
It's a nice range. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. I agree there too. I've done some what I would consider silly pieces, but they can be a lot of fun. When they're correctly made, even if they're not maybe what we would consider nice, they can still be a lot of fun and they can come out looking cool.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
That's sweet. So, what would you say to somebody like getting into the business? What sort of advice would you give to somebody wanting to get into setting or jewelry making and this side of
Ah,
things?
oof. Yeah, if they really are interested in it, if they have a passion, yeah, just get super proper training and work with good tools. With one of your other guests, you also talked about it, like the entrance is pretty high now, like the level of you have.
Oh, the cost, the barrier for entry.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
that's
it's
what I was looking for. It's not so like you spend a little, you have four hand tools, and you're good to go. You can go that route, but it will take you so long, and you probably get depressed before you even get it good. Eh, Yeah, like many of the other guests, I'm first generation jeweler. So if it's a family business, just try it out, do like some work in the workshop. But yeah, other than that, just look at a ton of videos and talk to other people. Hopefully, maybe you can try it out somewhere at a trade show or something. And then it's just, yeah, if you make the decision and then get proper tools and inform yourself well on, you don't have to get top of the line of everything, but just get the basics in there, like tool wise, and then, yeah, get some training. And now I'm talking mainly about stone setting, by the way. Like the goldsmith way is get a
yeah,
proper company that you can apprenticeship or do an apprenticeship at. But with both of them, you just have to put in the work. The more hours you spend behind the
yeah.
bench, the better the result is. Really, I love that part. It's pretty simple, really. Like the more you put in, the more result you get. But yeah, that can be hard if you have a family or have another job and you want to really slowly transition into it. The progress and your skills, they also go fairly slowly. But that's
Hmm.
my advice, to test it out at a trade show or to talk to somebody, do some tool research, a lot of tool research, and then just go on and get a proper training.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's quite fair. Sorry, I want to jump back a little bit. I've seen your fishtail, and your fishtail looks really cool, really unique. Actually, I really like how narrow you have the I don't know what we call them, the tails, the parts that hold the diamonds in. I don't know. What can I just ask? What gravers you're using for your cuts up the sides, and then obviously between the grains?
Between the beats, or
Just let me know, everyone, if you're comfortable sharing, because I feel like I heard you mention like a 90 or a 105 or something on Instagram a long
yeah,
time
yeah,
ago.
you're right. Yeah. Oh, that's one of the things I changed after I left Alexander. So I'm doing it like Alexander's way, or at least how he taught me with the anglet number four. And you just lean it more and more. But one of my students actually, he mentioned, and he even made me a graver. It was super nice.
Hmm.
Jordan, he made me a graver like whatever.
Oh, Casales.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh,
Great guy,
nice.
yeah. So he mentioned, and he made like it was like 89 point whatever degrees, like for me, like super random degrees. But I tried it out, like I try everything out from a good other stone setter. So I did that, and I liked it way more, man. So then I started to play a bit, and the Apex systems, they just come with the colored rings. So I just, yeah, just jam on the 90 degrees, the green one or the blue one. I have that graver. good to go. So all those cuts, I mainly go to the 90 degrees for all my fishtail work. And then when I do the extra cut below there, it's just a fillet cut. Yeah, that's all done with the 90 pretty much.
So you're doing 90 up this way, 90 up that way, and then in between the grains, are you going up or down in between the
I
grains?
always go. I
afterward.
actually never go down. I had that discussion.
Yeah, I go up too. I go up.
It's going up. I was like, yeah, I can try that out. But 9 out of 10 times, the side of the jewelry piece or the thermolock or the ring fixtures, right? It's in the way of my graver when I want to cut upwards. So then I have to place the item on its side, and that just takes too much time, in my opinion. So I cut downward.
Oh, so you're cutting down now?
Oh,
Okay.
always. And I tried to cut upwards after the guy mentioning it, that he likes to cut upwards. But in my opinion, you have to place your ring all the time on the side, so that
you do. Yeah, exactly.
Stuff. But so all the fishtail cuts itself with the 90, then between the beads, it's an anglet, like number 4. I cut upwards. So there I use that mainly. Sometimes I use the 90 if I want to create that nice white groove. Then when I do the extra cut down there, below there, you cut the fillet first with an anglet. And then I cut downward with at least a 120. And then you have to lean it a bit more. I got some other gravers that are like 160. I did one of 180, but it's pretty hard to control. It starts to hoover a bit or wobble a bit.
Isn't a 180 just a flat though?
Wait 1 second. No, just before flat.
Okay, like a 170 or something.
Like it's very hard to control.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah, I've got some quite flat ones that I know exactly what you're talking about.
It is in theory. I was like, that can be nice, like a couple cuts, and you don't need to lean it, but you always have that issue, and it's also
it just wanders.
It's hard to see if you're super duper straight from the start. So if you lean it towards your body or away from your body a little bit, you see that so good in that cut because the graver is so massively wide. Yeah. So to come back to your question, it's mainly the 90 degrees for my fishtail.
Nice one. No, I appreciate that, man. So what's the next step for your business now?
Yeah, the upcoming months is just fully booked with students, with jobs. So until next year, like February, fully booked. But other than that, I just try to figure out now where I want to go, where I want to end up, like a full base, like a home base and stuff. Many different opportunities. I'm still working on that part and figuring out where I want to end up and how I want to work and run a business. I'm like in a between phase now. I have no real good, solid answer on that question.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. You got opportunities, you got options.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm sure you'll go far one way or another.
That's good to hear.
All right. I think I'll probably wrap it up
Sounds
there.
Good.
And I've really appreciated taking the time. It's been really nice chatting, and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
I'm sure about it, man. No, thank you for having me. Really a lot of fun.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us there. Really enjoyed that conversation. Honestly, Ben, what a great guy. Awesome setter. I really hope you guys go follow all of his channels. Definitely check out his work if you've never seen it. It is top notch. And he's going on to do some really great things. I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes. If you're looking to support us here at the podcast and help us come out with more episodes, the best thing that you can do is share us. Share us with your friends, your colleagues. If we post anything on social media, share that to your stories. Send this to anybody that you think might get a little bit of value of it. If it helps the show grow, it's going to help me put out more episodes, bring you guys more of this stuff if you like it. If you did like it, leave us a comment, subscribe to the channel. We are going to be coming out with more. I got another one recorded. I'm doing another one next week. So we're getting back into the grind of this, and we're just going to see how many we can do. I'm not going to come out with any promises because it's tough, but it's a lot of fun, and I do really enjoy it. So I'm definitely not going to stop. And I hope you guys are here for the next one, and I hope you really enjoyed this one. Anyway, thanks for watching.